Coming up on Outlook, you know, in Kentucky, tourism equals dollars. Our unique cave landscapes, iconic automobiles, and our friendly people bring millions of visitors to this area every year. And with them, they bring their pocketbooks. We're going to talk about the impact of tourism on our economy coming up on Outlook. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Outlook. I'm Barbara Deeb. We're glad you joined us. Well, according to the most recent numbers, for every dollar spent on advertising, $151 was spent by travelers of Kentucky. Tourism equals big bucks. Just so happens that National Tourism Week is coming up, and so we invited a couple of people who know this stuff into the studios to share that story with us. Marissa Butler joins us, in addition to Talia Butler, no relation, and they both represent the Bowling Green area. I was going to say Chamber of Commerce, the Bowling Green Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
So when we talk about the National Tourism Week coming up, that's the point at which they release the latest numbers. So we're a little ahead of that game, but we can take a look at 2013 numbers because they're wow. Those are some big numbers. Talk
Very
to us
big
about
numbers.
that.
State of Kentucky had $12.5 billion coming in total. You know, this is indirect, so it's a complete and total tourism package there. You know, there's the ripple down effect that a lot of industries have, but tourism truly does have that, and it represents a huge number to the overall economy of the state. But here in Warren County, $365 million impact in 2013 alone.
Think about that, just in the Warren County area. Now, we have a lot to be happy about, a lot to be thankful for. And there are those who are watching who probably say, yeah, but there's some stuff that comes with the tourists that we just as soon not have come here. But let's look at the good part of that, okay? $365 million coming in as a result of tourism. How do they gauge those dollars? They come from taxes, they come from spending. How do they look at those?
There is a bed tax for all the folks who stay in our hotels, and of course that money also is looked at when you come to spend money at attractions, stay and eat at our restaurants and go shopping and all of that.
Which we hope you will do when you come to the area, right?
Exactly.
So that's a good way to look at the direct impact of that.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about some people who may not be happy when we have a lot of these people coming in, but that's part of doing business.
It's absolutely part of it. You know, we have these Corvettes, and where else can you go in the country and see, you know, 14, 15, sometimes lines of 20 Corvettes all right beside you. So it's really a sight to be seen. But, you know, others would argue that, yes, it's a traffic headache. And you know, I kind of jokingly say, well, these are the weekends you need to go out of town or plan
there
something, you know, yourself. Plan a little trip yourself because it's going to get crazy around Bowling Green. But when it comes down to it, it's saving every taxpayer here in Warren County money because they're bringing in this clean money. They're not using our infrastructure that much. They're not using our cops, our police, our fire, our schools, our libraries, anything like that, that regular residents are using. So we reap the benefits, all of us reap the benefits as residents here of those tourism dollars.
So you're telling the people who live in these parts during those times, go see other parts of the state, because if you looked at a map, there are specific regions of the state, of the Commonwealth, that are known for whatever natural resources or gifts that they have. As it relates to where we are, if you're watching this program, we talk about our caves, our unique karst terrain. We talk about our lakes, and we talk about our Corvettes. So do you all compete? I am curious, parts of the state, like are you competing against maybe northern Kentucky who has some other something? I mean, is there a competition that goes on?
Oh, we can't touch those big guys.
Okay, okay.
The Western Waterlands, the Paducah area, yeah, the Owensboro area, for sure. We definitely try to compete with them. But you know, each one of those kind of major cities or mid-major cities will have, you know, depending on their surrounding counties and what's included in their region, you know, may have a little bit more to bring to the table than some of the other regions. You know, we have to look at the vitality and the health of all the 10 counties that are in our region when it comes to our overall impact to the state.
There was a nice designation, and I suspect these designations help along the way, when National Geographic designated Bowling Green as one of the more desirable cities.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, Bowling Green was named a top 10 All-American city last fall by National Geographic, obviously for our relationship with Corvette. We're home of America's favorite sports car, and we love to brag about it, and that's what got us on the list. Only one other Kentucky city made that list, by the way. It was Louisville for their best foodie cities list. So
Interesting.
Louisville and Bowling Green toting
All-American
the Kentucky
city.
flag, yes.
There you go. So we know about those iconic locations that if you're going to make a trip to this area or this region, you definitely want to see. And one of them, of course, is the Corvettes. And stay tuned, because later in the show we're going to be talking with Joe Pruitt about the National Corvette Homecoming. So, you know, Corvettes are big business in these parts, all right? So we know about that. You can go out to the museum, you can go out to the plant and take a look. What else related to the Corvette is important?
Well, now, as we like to say, we have the trifecta. We have to use that horse term. Here we
Yes.
are in Kentucky, here about to have the Derby as well. But we have the trifecta of Corvettes now with the Motorsports Park. And that's opening up, you know, Beachman Raceway has always opened up to other automotive enthusiasts and motorsports events and everything. But now with the addition of the Motorsports Park up there, it's opened it up to even more, you know, high performance clubs. You know, we never really would have had BMW groups coming in racing the drag strip at Beach Bend, but they're all over coming out and racing that track at the Motorsports Park. So it's not just the Corvette any longer. I mean, obviously that's the anchor. That's what is really has created this synergy in this town. It's created our iconic, you know, reputation, but it's opened the door now to so much more. And we will always continue to celebrate the Corvette, of course, but it's really kind of opened the doors, and we're really anxious to see what that impact has. You know, so many people in the community and in the region even might not even know what's going on up there. Same with Beach Bend, you know, the raceway. A lot of people don't even know when there's a big event, because they're coming in some of the other corridors into town, and they're sneaking on over there, and they're, you know, hanging out. We don't
Doing their
they're
business?
doing their thing, and unless you're out around town at night, you know, to see them all over town at restaurants and things like that, you might not even know they're here. So that's the way this Motorsports Park, the effect's going to have too, because they come in there, they swoop up there to that track, they do their thing all day long, and we're real excited about that addition, of course, and they've opened the doors to spectators, so anybody can go up there during any of the events, unless it's a truly private rented weekend. Then go out there and check out some of these racing teams.
And people should, and you brought up the point I wanted to bring up. You said that you called them corridors. I was just going to call them the fringes, because so many of these activities, like the Corvette Museum, like the Motorsports Park, like Beach Bend, are on the fringes of the city. And as a result, you don't really, you know, unless you're traveling in those parts, you're not affected by it.
Right.
How do you get people to come in to the downtown? How do you show them the real Bowling Green, the heart of Bowling Green? Is that a difficult process?
It is. There's actually talk of a couple new events adding some things down there. For instance, the Hot Rod Reunion, a big event, usually 25,000 people coming to the city around Father's Day time. They're adding a new fan fest on Fountain Square this year, the Wednesday before the event, for locals to bring their hot rods out, and for locals in the surrounding communities to come and see what these cars are all about and what these organizations are all about, so that we know who they are and why they're here.
So kind of demystifying some of those things that you think are, well, I can't go to that. That's for other people or visitors to this area.
And we've got of course, we're real active at the Motorsports Park and all the events to try to get visitors guides in the attendees' hands. You know, we had ditty bags out there this past weekend, a big event, and we'll continue all throughout the summer, so that they're getting that in their hands and can see what other else there is to do. You know, we've had a tourism kiosk inside the National Corvette Museum for many years now. So that was an initial effort to try to inform people who might just be stopping off the interstate that there's a lot more to see and do in the area. We've also got a shopping extravaganza challenge that sends people around town, and that's an effort just for the groups, you know, the motorsports groups and, you know, their significant others who may be coming with them, to give them an incentive to get out and hit some of these shops, get a stamp, and if they turn their card in, they can be eligible for a Visa gift card drawing.
So kind of explore, get out and
Yes.
explore. Now these cards that you're referencing, these are the kind of things that you want to get in somebody's hands that they can easy reference, they can take a look and see what's coming up, spring events. So what are some spring events that are coming up, spring and summer, that people, even if you're watching this and you live in these parts, that you may have never attended and think, this year I'm going to make that happen?
Well, one of the big ones that we always like to talk about is the 400-mile yard sale. That covers all of Kentucky and runs straight through our historic highway 6880. And it's all the first weekend of June, and thousands of people caravan all 400 miles, and they all come through Bowling Green, but locals set up booths too, all on 6880. And that's one of my personal favorites. What about you?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, again, the Hot Rod Reunion, we talked about that. The National Corvette Homecoming, a chance to really get in there and talk to some of these Corvette owners. You know, it's really the more general public's show for Corvettes, you know, because we can get out there to the Sloan Convention Center parking lot and just, you know, shake hands, look under the hoods and chat with these people and kind of find out a little bit more about their lifestyle and why they love the Corvette so much. You know, we obviously do in the tourism industry, but, you know, to hear it firsthand. And then a couple of new automotive events this season. We've got the Good Guys returning. They'll be here in September. And that is a very similar to the Hot Rod Reunion, but I think even more candy-colored cars come for that event. So it's fabulous. A new event this year, the Dan Chuck Tri-5 Nationals, another automotive event, but it's another opportunity for people to see some really nice cars. That's the Chevrolet celebrating the 60th anniversary of those 3 years, 55, 56, 57. So that'll be a 3-year thing. But those are, of course, like I said, some automotive events, but those tend to be some of our favorites too.
Well, because they draw such a unique group of individuals and beautiful cars.
Beautiful
I mean, they're
cars.
nice cars to look at. Now, a lot of people come into town, they're visiting Bowling Green, they get to the square, they see that lovely square and think, this is an amazing city, the people are so nice. Food, then they want to eat, okay? So you said Louisville received a designation by National Geographic for its foodiness,
Because
if you
of the
will.
hot brown.
Because
yes.
of the hot brown. But now Bowling Green, I don't know if it still has, but at one point had more restaurants per capita than San Francisco, California. So are we still up there on the restaurant list?
We're still up there on the restaurant list, Barb, but it's more of you know, that quantity. It's not so much the James Beard Award-winning chefs and some of that recognition that a lot of these other cities are getting. You know, so we're still not quite on the radar there. We have. Our biggest, I think, food claim is our Eastern European-owned restaurants. You know, the ability to have, and not just the Eastern European-owned ones, but just the diversity, the ethnicity here, and the variety of offerings. For a city our size, it is quite unusual for a visitor from Chicago to come in and find a restaurant of the caliber of the Bistro, or you know, to find the Taste of Europe right off the square, to find places like that, Thai restaurants, and you know, of course, Japanese restaurants on just about every corner.
Just the wide variety, yes, in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And that, of course, is changing, but there's always nature, dear, sweet, wonderful Mother Nature, who has given this region of the state something very special. They call it karst, K-A-R-S-T, and in essence, we're talking about the caves that lie below this city and parts of these parts. So Mammoth Cave is a huge draw, yes?
Yes.
Mammoth Cave brought in over $40 million last year in tourism dollars.
Yeah, 500,000 visitors. I mean, yeah.
When you think about 500,000 people from all over the world making their way to Mammoth Cave, that's unbelievable. And it has a big anniversary coming up as well.
Yes, 2016. They are celebrating the overall 100-year anniversary of the National Park Service and the system itself, but Mammoth Cave will celebrate 200 years of giving cave tours, and then its actual 75th anniversary of being a national park. So it's kind of a triple whammy for them in 2016. So we're really excited about what that has in store for us and for the region.
So I'm going to put you both on the spot, and you can say, I can't answer that, but I'm going to ask anyway. Someone's coming here for the very first time, and you know, they have diverse tastes, they have diverse interests, but if you wanted them to really get a sense of what Bowling Green is, where would you send them? That's a tough one, I know.
That is a tough one.
First of all, you tell them how it got its name, right?
Well, sure. Well, sure.
Yes.
I would have to say the Kentucky Museum. I'd send them there. You know, it truly is a bit of a hidden jewel still. Unfortunately, you know, it just hasn't gotten the recognition that, of course, some of the other museums around town have, or even in the region and across the state. But just for such kind of a quirky look at this region, you know, overall state itself too, but you know, Thunk and Hines are conflict during the Civil War. You know, the beautiful quilts, the instruments of American excellence. It's just the variety there, I think, is just wonderful, and especially for a family with kids, the educational opportunities there are just great. So
The Kentucky Museum on Western's campus, we got that vote. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm a bit more of a tomboy at heart, and I would send them to Lost River Cave, not just for the only underground cave tour in Kentucky, but also the grounds, the Lost River Valley, the hiking through those trails down through the Blue Holes and up to the Lost River Spring is just gorgeous. They have the new outdoor classroom for kids over there that's Arbor Day Foundation certified, and they have educational programming and the bike trails and wonderful shopping at Wildflower Gifts, and I think it just encapsulates the geological history of the area.
And the beautiful gift Mother Nature has given
Right.
us, as well as you two, who can talk about tourism for sure. They are representing the Bowling Green Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've been talking with Marissa and Talia Butler, no relation. When we come back, Outlook is going to continue, and we're going to be talking with Joe Pruitt about the upcoming National Corvette Homecoming. The Corvettes are coming. Stay with us. Outlook continues. I'm Barbara Deeb. We are talking about the economy and tourism and what a difference it makes to bring these tourism dollars into the state. Joining us now is Joe Pruitt, who is the owner-organizer of the National Corvette Homecoming. Thanks for being here, Joe.
Thank you.
You're chuckling because tourism, people may not realize that it does translate into dollars.
You know, for all the years that I've been around cars and everything else, I never realized that I would be basically in tourism business.
Yeah.
And 13 years ago, when we purchased this show, it put us into tourism. So we work with them and every tourism in the state, or every office in the state, or whatever.
Because this is not limited, this Corvette Homecoming is not limited to the Bowling Green area or the state of Kentucky.
No.
You have people from where? All over the world?
We usually have people every year from Canada. We've had them from New Zealand. They get to bring their car. But they'll come in from California, Texas, all over. Now, we don't get big numbers like that, but we'll get every year quite a few from Florida, the south, on down into there in Texas, all out over there. I did a map, I guess it was 2 years ago, and put the push pins in. It's unbelievable what it looks like. And I may have to use that one of these days with certain areas.
Yeah, see where they come from. You know, we talked in the earlier segment with our tourism people about the iconic sports car and how advantageous it is that we are in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where these iconic sports cars are manufactured, where we have a museum dedicated to them. So that certainly is a draw. In your opinion, for someone who's been doing this for 13 years as the director of the National Corvette Homecoming, what is it about this car? What is it that draws people in?
We had a film company come to us last year, just kind of out of, well, they were going to do one thing, and by the time I got through with them on the phone, they were going to make Homecoming the focus of their program, which they did. They followed one of our participants for 3 days, another one for about 2 days, and what they came out is the essence of what Corvette Homecoming is, and it is what I've said many, many times. You buy an automobile, particularly a Corvette, that's what we're talking about, and then you go somewhere and you meet people. Then you look forward to going back to that same place the next year to see those same people, and then your family grows. There's not a corner of this country that I can't call, go to if I was on the road and had a problem, or call for a bed, whatever the case may be. You become a family, and they caught the essence of what Homecoming is. It's just about the people.
So it's the camaraderie that
Yes.
comes with owning one of these iconic sports cars.
And I think on one of your programs before, I made the statement, when you get in one of these, whether it be old, new, whatever, it's like you're putting on Superman's cape. You can just feel different, and that's not arrogance. It's just because a Porsche guy or a BMW guy would tell you the same thing. But all the people, you just feel better. You can tell they're looking at you at a stoplight, and the older the car or the newer the car, it doesn't matter.
They don't discriminate against those Corvettes, do they?
No.
They don't. But like putting on Superman's cape, Yeah, I guess it would be like that. Well, we're talking about putting on Superman's cape. Every year there are cars that come back to the Corvette Homecoming, hence the term homecoming. And in particular, there are some really iconic cars. The Darth Vader black Corvette in particular stands out. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, that car, it's a triple black convertible, and he has the Darth Vader helmet that he displays and wears sometimes. And I think he's got the sword, the whole 9 yards, but he's kind of an interesting character. We, as we were talking a while ago in the warm-up, we wake up Rip Van Winkle once a year, and he comes down from Ohio. He has I think a 98 pace car now. We just 2 days ago got a 53, the car was in the 53 Motorama, and it was one of the car that's copied from it was one of 3 that GM built. One of them, they call it a Corvair, but it looks just exactly like a 54, 55, or 53 Corvette.
Karen, go ahead and put up that photo if you can. We have a picture of it because it's so interesting to see.
And this car just got together about a month ago. They built it from
When you say got together, you mean literally
They
put
literally
together.
put it together
Okay.
and painted it and whatever and put it in the trailer. Took it to Amelia Island, the concours show over there, and it won a couple of awards. It's going to be in several concours shows, and it will be at Homecoming. It's going to be one of our feature cars. I don't know what he'll value the car at, but he said, can we put it someplace where they can see it but can't touch it? So it will be that type.
One of those valuable, but wait, go back.
Yeah.
So this car that you're seeing a picture of on the screen was in the 1953 Motorama. So they would do these sort of experimental cars, and back then, if it didn't work out, they would just take them apart, dismantle them.
It didn't matter whether it worked out or not. They would just destroy them.
Oh my!
All 3 of the cars. There was one they called the Nomad. This one they called a Corvair actually, and then this I can't think of what the other car was, but there were 3 of them. They were basically all 53, 4, 5 Corvettes, but they were for the one show. They kept them for a while, and then they were destroyed. So these guys have built these cars from drawings and anything that they can grab together to put them together.
But when you look at that car, and of course, if you know anything about the don't want to call it the legend of the Corvair, but it was deemed a very unsafe at any speed vehicle, and was taken off the road because of its safety issues, and made Ralph Nader a household name.
Right.
But so that was the Corvair, and so this has parts of that. Like, how does this?
No, this has
nothing.
There's nothing on it that's Corvair.
Huh.
But they just put the name Corvair on it.
Interesting.
I'm not. I'm on the history of that. I'm not even sure that the Corvette was out at that time. The 53 may not have
Might have just
even been out.
crossed. Yeah,
And
yeah.
it might have been they were testing the waters with these cars, and that's why that. And then they wound up destroying them. So.
Love it. So the National Corvette Homecoming is happening in these parts. When we talk about tourism dollars, as we did in the earlier segment, that you have $365 million being brought in, for people going to see the Corvette Museum, to do these kinds of things. The National Corvette Homecoming brings people from all over the world to these parts.
Right.
And they're just coming together for this camaraderie with other Corvette owners?
They come. We get a lot of first-time people coming, and we keep a lot of them as far as coming back each year and whatever. But one of the things that we tout, and of course the motorsports park is new, but there'll probably be something going on around over there. We may even have something going on. But we say that you can come into Homecoming and go through the factory, go through the museum, now the track, you can take a look at it, or maybe even take a lap around it, and then do all the things that we have to offer for Homecoming. So that's why we get a lot of first-time Corvette owners. That's where the first-timers come in.
So it's a good, safe place to kind of get your feet wet, find out about all these other people who have this addiction called Corvette, right?
That's a good word. I
Yeah.
guess addiction is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And of course, the Corvette Museum's recent incident related to the sinkhole, has that drawn a lot of interest, and has that helped what you do with the Corvette Homecoming?
Actually, yes and no. The hole probably brought a lot of people in earlier last year than
I see.
whatever. We were unfortunate last year to have rain, first time in 12 years that had happened. So the people that were here, basically they just stuck around, but we didn't get a lot of the cars that we would normally get. This year, and thank you for the invitation to be on the show, because I'd like to kind of issue a challenge. I'd like to see every Corvette that's registered in the state of Kentucky to show up at homecoming, because the bottom line is there's no place like home. So we need to get these cars from Kentucky to come in here and show these people from out of state what we've got.
There you go. The challenge has been made.
That's right.
July 16th, 17th, and 18th
Correct.
in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And if people want to find out more, of course, we're going to put up a website where you can get access to that. And what would you say to residents? Okay, say I don't have a Corvette and can get out, but would you tell them still to come on by?
Yes, it's $10 a day per person. If you want to come all 3 days, we'll give you a $25 ticket, $5 discount. Children under 12 are admitted free. And if you want to come out and see some beautiful cars, one I didn't mention that we got coming in is a red, totally modified 62. Now, this is how you meet people on the road. We were in Alabama, went to a little cruise in, probably wasn't 30 cars there. This one was sitting back in a little alcove-like. I talked to him. He came, he called me, and I said, yeah, I remember the car. And he said, you do? I said, sure. It's a beautiful red
saw it
62.
in Alabama.
So he'll be here.
I love it. Joe Pruitt, who is the owner-organizer of the National Corvette Homecoming, sharing a little bit of a highlight of the July 16th, 17th, and 18th event here in Bowling Green, contributing to those tourism dollars. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Outlook. I'm Barbara Deeb. We're so glad you joined us.